Hello, my name's Tim. Welcome to Tim Burbage Reads, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what series I am reading at the moment. So I did a quick check, and I think I am in the middle of 32 different series, which is a lot. That's mainly comes from the fact that if you read fantasy, a lot of fantasy comes series, and I've read quite a few book ones, and then have not continued the series or not prioritized it. But there's also a few collections of books that I've kind of grouped together here. So I'm going to go through my series, say how many books I've read, how many books I've got left to read, and just kind of run through the list. And hopefully at the end of the year, this list will be shorter. And one way I'm planning to do that is I'm planning to read at least one sequel every month. I'm planning to read 12 sequels, so hopefully this list should come down. So I have 13 series that are my top priorities. These are in no particular order, but let's get started. So the first is the Geomancer series. This is a trilogy with one little mini book by Kieran Millward Hargrave. I've read the first book, which is called In the Shadow of the Wolf Queen. I've read the second book called The Storm and the Seahawk. I've read the little mini book that came out for World Book Day called The Wolf Trials. And I have the final book, which is called The Ship of Strays. And I have that book and I want to read it. So I'm ready to go with that. And I've only got one book left to finish that series. Next is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I read book one, The Thursday Murder Club, and I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but lots of people really like it. So I was going to give there's 5 books in the series. I can't remember what the names of the other ones are. One's just come out. But at work we have like little lending libraries, like little shelves, and someone had put the whole series up there. So my plan is to kind of go through certainly try book 2. And if book 2 is worse or more of the same, I'll probably DNF. But I want to at least give it another go. Next is the Tale of Magic series by Chris Colfer. This is a trilogy. I've read book 1, A Tale of Magic. I'm in the middle of book 2, which is A Tale of Witchcraft. And the third book is A Tale of Sorcery. These are middle grade YA fantasy. I thought the first book was okay, but it was too long. It was way too long for what it was. The second book and the third book are a bit shorter, so hopefully I should be able to finish that this year. That's the plan. Next is the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan. This is a 5-book series. This is the third series in the Percy Jackson kind of universe. I have read 2 of the books. I have 3 left. Book 2 I found a real slog last year. But I've got 3 books left and I'm planning to finish that by the end of this year. And book 3, like the end of book 2 brought in characters that I was just naturally more interested in. So hopefully book 3 is a bit better. Next is my little Jack London section. So these aren't a series, but it's a project that I'm working on. So I want to read all of Jack London's novels. He wrote 24 novels. He published 24 novels. I've read 20 of them. I've got 4 left. I'm in the middle of one right now. Then he's got his short story collections, which I got on Amazon, like his entire short story collection. And there are 22 short story collections that he wrote. I've read 2 of them. But, you know, the way they arrange stories is a bit differently. And then also I've got some non-fiction, which I've got 5 different of his non-fiction books, be it essays, autobiographies, memoirs, things like that. I've read 1 of them. So I would like to read, he's probably my favourite author, and I'd like to read everything that I can get my hands on by him. Next is Legend and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is 3 books, and I've read 2 of them. I've read Legends of Lattes and Bookshops on Bone Dust, and I have Brigands and Bread Knives, so I want to read that. I'm not sure how long this series is going to be, because the first book is about Viv, then the second book is a prequel about Viv and another character, and then this is a sequel to Bookshops and Bone Dust, I think, but just about the other character. I don't know if Viv is even in it. So we'll see. We'll see how Travis Baldree kind of builds this series. But I've enjoyed both books I've read, and I want to keep going. Next is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So there's the original trilogy, which I read. Then I read The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes when that came out. And I've got Sunrise on the Reaping to read. I want to read that before the film comes out. Next is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I read book 1 last year, and I thought it was pretty good. I actually quite enjoyed it. I really liked the ending because it was pretty ballsy what they did. Like, it was pretty brave to fundamentally change the world. And I've got the second book right now on Libby. I'm planning on doing a buddy read of that with Charlie and Rebecca Nicole. So we'll see how that goes. Now we move into my top priority series, but I don't have the next book. So that is Rivers of London by Ben Aaronovitch. I got the book 1 and I really enjoyed it. I think there's like 13 books in this series or something. It's a big urban fantasy series. I did find on Amazon you can buy like all of the books for 30 quid, but I just don't have space for all of the books at the moment. I'm planning, I would like to read those, but I might do that digitally just because of space. Next is another urban fantasy series called the Tear Down Heaven series by Rachel Aaron. I think Rachel Aaron is about to release the 5th book. In this, I've only read book 1, which I really, really enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed that. And those I will be just getting digitally. And then the final series, which is my top priority, is the Mortal Engine series by Philip Reeve. So there's 4 Mortal Engines main books. Then there's the prequel trilogy, which I've read. And then there's a book called Night Flight, which is like a short story collection, which I haven't got to. And then I'm going to include that. Then there was Thunder City, which I read and really enjoyed. And then there's a new book coming out called Bridge of Storms. So of the 10 books, I've read 8 of them. Up there for one of my favourite series. I definitely enjoyed the main quartet more than Fever Crumb, but I really liked Thunder City. That was like, wow, this is really, really good. So I'm looking forward to Bridge of Storms as it follows the characters from Thunder City in a new series. Now we're into the medium priority series. So these are books that I really want to continue with the series, but I'm not super urgent on them. First one there is Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan. So Percy Jackson was originally 5 books. I read all 5. My wife read all 5. Now I'm reading them to the kids. We've just finished Titan's Curse. So we'll probably be reading 4, maybe 5 this year. One thing I quite like about them is that they're all the same length and basically the same amount of drama and tension and kind of similar for the same age range, which is quite nice. But now there's been 2 new ones released, which we now have. So I don't know whether I don't quite know the reading order of where those come in. Do I then need to read Trials of Heroes of Olympus to the kids, and then Trials of Apollo, and then come back to these Percy Jacksons? Or can I just read all 7 Percy Jacksons? I don't really know. I'm sure you could just read all 7 Percy Jacksons, but it's, bits of the world and all that kind of stuff. But if anyone knows, please let me know in the comments below, because I want to know what the reading order is, now that there's 2 extra books in there. And I think there may be a 3rd one coming as well, I'm not sure. Then it's Red Rising, which is a series which has 7 books in it, or it's going to have 7 books in it. I'm halfway through book 1. Red Rising, I got halfway through and I just put it down because I found it a bit exhausting because it was just so emo. But I do have book 2, so I want to read those 2 books and see. I want to finish those off and then see if I continue with the series or not. Because those good books were gifts. The series is meant to be really good. Lots of people really like it. So maybe I just wasn't in the right space to read the first book. So yeah, there we go. Next is Middle Earth. So I've read The Hobbit and I've read the Lord of the Rings trilogy and I've read the Silmarillion. But they've then released all these kind of other books. But I do have the Children of Hurin. So I found that at the London Wetland Centre and I bought it for like £1 from their like secondhand bookshop. So I want to read that. In terms of the others, The Fall of Gondolin, Beren and Luthien, What's the other one? The Fall of Numenor. Those are the collections that have come out kind of fairly recently in the past 10 years. But then you have all the unfinished tales and stuff. So I don't quite know what to read and what not to read, and what's just this bit kind of rewritten. I'm not quite sure, but I'll read whenever I can find. Then it's not a series, it's a collection. It's Michael Crichton. So I read 4 Michael Crichton books last year, really enjoyed them. I've got State of Fear to read that I borrowed from my mum. And once I read that, I'm kind of done with all the Michael Crichton that I have access to, but we'll definitely keep an eye out kind of in the library or secondhand or things like that, because I do really enjoy him. And he's still got lots of books. I think he wrote 21 novels, and I've read 9 of them. So yeah, few more books to read. Then it's The Wheel of Time. So I read book 1. I thought it was okay. I started book 2, but I wasn't really feeling it, and then I put it down last year. So I would like to pick that book up because I own it. I own it digitally. And Wheel of Time is a series that lots and lots and lots of people love. So and it's not. I would put that down to, that's just the first fantasy series that you read, so that's why you really love it. But Sam Harrison did all the books, last year, finished them last year, and he loved basically every single one. So it kind of shows that even if you're an experienced fantasy reader, you could still really enjoy The Wheel of Time. So I'd like to get through that a bit more, kind of progress with that. Now these are my medium priority books that I don't have the next book, but I will keep an eye out and potentially go shopping. So first is the What If series. So I read What If Scarlet Witch and Peter Parker were brothers, and that was by Seanan McGuire. I quite enjoyed that. I did enjoy that. And there's What If Mark Spector had Venom. There's What If Loki was deemed worthy. And I kind of thought these were just not connected books at all. A bit like the Marvel books written by Mackenzie Lee. There was one about Winter Soldier. There was one about Gamora and Nebula. So it was kind of, you could kind of pick at them. But then I heard at the end of this year, there's coming like a What If Doctor Doom broke the multiverse or whatever. And it's about, it brings all these books together. It does make sense because the Scarlet Witch one did have America Chavez as kind of outside the story, but through the multiverse. And I really like America Chavez as a character. I think she's really interesting. And I quite like multiverse stuff. So I'm quite excited to find more of these books and read them as they seem to be building towards something rather than just completely separate items. Next is Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. This is quite hard to tell how many books there are because I think there's 6 main books, but there's a few like little short stories and things for World Book Day and other stuff. But I think there's 6 main books, and I've read the first one, Noughts and Crosses, and I thought it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I'm kind of a bit intimidated by the rest of the series. That sounds really weird because they're so gritty and dark, and like I don't know if I really want to put myself in that headspace again. But wow, those books were that book was amazing, absolutely amazing. And I would like to continue the series. Then next is the Dungeon Academy book by Madeleine Roux. These are kind of light kids books, but I just read them to myself, which are about, it's like a monster academy. It's like a school for monsters to learn how to be monsters for a D&D campaign. So you've got a kobold, you've got a mimic that can't turn into anything dangerous, you've got an owlbear who's a vegan, and you've got a human who's pretending to be a minotaur because she's been adopted by minotaurs. Really, really love the first 2 books. Just haven't found the third one yet, but we'll definitely keep an eye out for it. That's the kind of book where if I didn't have this tracker, I would just forget about it because I haven't read them for a few years. And they kind of fell out of my mind. So that's why this tracker is really helpful. Next is the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown. This is 6 books. I've read 5 of them. The latest book, Secret of Secrets, came out last year. So it's not one that I'm desperate to buy. I might get it digitally. I read Origin digitally last year and really enjoyed it. I think I read most of it on a plane. It's that kind of book. It's kind of easy to read. You just kind of keep going, and you do kind of switch your brain off a little bit, but you just enjoy the ride, and that's what it's good for. I don't think it's high literature by any stretch, but I did enjoy reading it. Next is The Readverse by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, this is like an author who makes small connections in her books. So I read 2 of her books. I read Carrie Soto's Back, and I read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I really liked them. I did think they were quite light and quite easy to read. And yeah, she's like put Easter eggs in her books, and I even spotted that reading 2 of the books. So I would like to read her other novels, and I think there's 7 at the moment in that series, and I've read 2. Then I've got the Bane of the North series by A.C. Salter. When I last talked about this book, I called the author A.C. Slater, which is both incorrect, because that's not their name, and it's also the name of Mario Lopez's character from Saved by the Bell. So apologies. Unless you are Mario Lopez and you're writing under a pseudonym, in which case, great job. But I've read book 1, which is called Gallows Born, and again, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was okay. And it's a self-pub series, and there's 5 books in it, and I would like to keep going with it, I think. But I haven't got any more of them at the moment. Next is a section of my kind of lower priority reads, which is I'm not probably actively looking for them, but if I find them, I'll be like, okay. First one is Roald Dahl. So it's kind of his back catalogue. I think he published 19 novels for children, and I think we've read 16 of them. I think the ones I'm missing are Boy, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, and Billy and the Minpins. I think those are the 3. There may be some others that I can't quite remember, but my kids are now reading by themselves, and my son still loves Roald Dahl. He listens to Danny Champion the World like all the time. So maybe that's one we kind of keep an eye out for. But he's listened to Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, so he doesn't need me to read it to him because he's got it on the Yoto. But I would like to finish that off. Next is the Twisted Tales series. This is a series that I really enjoy. I think I've got one that I own but I haven't read yet, which is What Once Was Mine, which was Tangled, like a spin-off of Tangled. But they're definitely ones that you don't need to read all of them, and I just don't have enough space for books, so there's so many books, but it's definitely one you can pick and choose. So there's one about like Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas, who I don't really care much about, or one about Violet from The Incredibles. And for some reason, the idea of like a Pixar one just seems a bit strange to me. That's me. But it's a really good series if you like Disney films and you like seeing people do something a bit different with it. Then I've got Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikatsu Kawaguchi. So I read the first book and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why it's a series. Well, I do know because of money, but I don't know what other story there is to tell with this. So if I see book 2 in the library or something, then I might grab it, especially because they are short and quick to read. But I'm not. I feel like I've got my fill, you know? I don't know why there is a book 2, and supposedly there's like 5 books or something. I don't really understand why. Next is The Rift War Cycle by Raymond E. Feist. So there are 30 books in this series. I've read 3 of them, and I read a trilogy, and it was a really nice trilogy. Do I need any more? Not entirely sure. If I did, I would probably go with the Empire trilogy, where he co-wrote with Johnny Wirtz, because that's people say that one's really, really good. And then maybe I'll take it a bit at a time, but it's not on the back. It's on the back burner for me, because I've read a nice story and it's good. So then it's Discworld by Terry Pratchett. It's funny, I put this in the the lower priority category, and then I was at the library and I saw Soul Music and I just grabbed it. And that might be how I do this, because one, my library doesn't have a huge fantasy collection. It's not a very big library, and there's kind of always Terry Pratchett there. And I've read 11 Discworld books, which is quite a lot. And then you realise there's 41. So I've got 30 to go. But I read them all when I was a teenager. I didn't read I haven't read many / any in the past 10, 15 years. So even if it's a reread, I'll still happily read them, because people always say, oh, you could just start wherever. Oh, you could just read any one. So I might actually put that to the test, and just whenever we're at the library, just grab whatever Discworld book is there, and see how that goes, see how my enjoyment of them goes. And then the last series on here is the Pain and Joes series by Chris Kuzneski. There are 9 books in the series. This is like a action adventure series where these 2 people who are like ex-special forces end up chasing historical artifacts. It's kind of like the other side of the coin to Dan Brown, and it does actively take the mick out of Dan Brown on a fair few occasions. And I really enjoyed this series. And then I haven't read any for the past, 10 years. And there's 1 book left, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to go back and read the last one, which is called like The Maltese Escape or something. It's all set on Malta, and not like it. And then that might put a damper on the rest of the series, because I've previously really enjoyed the other series. And Chris Kuzneski is an author. I know he also wrote another trilogy called The Hunters, which again are about like treasure hunters, all with different skills. And then I think he was trying to get a movie made for a really long time, and I don't think that's happened, and I don't know what's happening with his writing career. But I really hope he keeps writing. Maybe I should move this one up to priority, because then it's just 1 book. It's just 1 book, and then it's done. Maybe. Then in terms of books series that I've completed since I opened up this tracker, which was kind of late last year, one was The Once a Future King, which is 5 books, and I read all 5 books. A solid 3-star, I think, across the whole book, across the whole series. I didn't really love it. I thought some parts were good. I thought Sword in the Stone was the best one. Didn't love it. And then I've just finished the Book of Dust trilogy by Philip Pullman and his Dark Materials as a whole. I haven't read all of the little side projects bits, but that's the main story. I finished The Rosefield a week ago, and you just can't really do endings, Philip Pullman. It was definitely about the journey more than the destination. The book just kind of ended. It had way too many threads open. But I love his writing, and I love Lyra as a character. I love Pan as a character. Pan does a lot in this book by himself, and I really love watching them. And there was a moment of like real tense drama at the end, and I actually went, "Oh no!" Out loud, because something bad happened. So he does get me to care about the characters, and his prose is fantastic. But the story was not as good as other parts. But it was better than The Secret Commonwealth, because at least it had an ending. Kind of. Anyway, now the last section is my DNFs, where I've DNF'd the series. So the first is the Long Earth series by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. This is a 5-book series. I read book 1, and I kind of liked some of the ideas, and then the ending I really didn't like. And then I read book 2, and I gave book 2 a chance. I found it at the library and read it, and I thought, oh, maybe the ending of book 1 that I really didn't like really changes the game, and it will take the series in a whole new direction. And no, they just completely ignored the ending of book 1. And then it was a lot more of the stuff I really didn't like in book 1, more of that in book 2, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. Yeah, so, and then I've had people in the comments say like, oh, you know, the series gets really good, blah, 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 and I'm like, I've got enough, you've seen all the series that I'm in the middle of, let's stop there. The other is called the Xenophobia Saga by Craig Martell. This is a self-pub series. I think there's 6 of them. I read 1, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine. It was written as a serial space opera adventure, and it just meant that there's not enough story in one book to be satisfied, because that's part of the business model, is that you're on Kindle Unlimited and you just get the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. You read them all back to back to back. I'm not on Kindle Unlimited. I'm not paying money to read a third of a book by someone. I'm sorry that I'm just not. So that's why I'm stopping there. And then the final one, which is a DNF, is the Chronicles of Amber series by Roger Zelazny. I read the first 5. The story finished. I didn't love a lot of it. It was full of really weird or wacky ideas, which I quite liked, but the prose I really didn't like. And in the end, I didn't really feel a narrative pull to finish the series. And there's another 5 books, and I'm going, thank you very much. I'm leaving it there. So from kind of the where I am and the number of books, so I have 32 series ongoing, and in those 32 series, I have 199 books to read. That is greatly impacted by the Jack London short stories, where I've got 22 books left, by the Discworld, where I've got 30 books left, and by the Michael Crichton, I've got 12 books left. Wheel of Time, I've got 14 books left. So there's a few series that have a really big Rift Wall cycle. I've got 27 books left. So, there's a few series that are really, really big counters on there. But yeah, so in my high priority, I've got 13 series and 60 books. In my medium priority, I've got 12 series and 57 books, so similar amount. And then in my low priority, I've got 7 series, but 82 books. Like, that might be why they're a lower priority, just because there's so many books there. And I'm like, I just don't really want to read just one series for like 3 years and still not finish them, In terms of my series done, obviously there's 2 series done. I've got 0 books remaining. And for my DNFs, I have 3 series that I've DNF'd and 13 books remaining in those series to read. So just a lot of books to read. Let me know how you track your series, because I've tracked them by priority, the number of books I've read, the number of books there are in total, which means the number of books remaining, and the number of books I own. Because if I don't have the book, then I need to go shopping. That's kind of how I listed it on here. Or I need to go get the book. Well, if I have the book, if I have the next one, then I'm ready to go, and that kind of makes it higher priority for me. So let me know how you track your series, how many series you're in the middle of. Hopefully it's less than 32. And let me know if you want to see more of this. Like, do you want me to do this again in 6 months, in a year's time, just to track how we're getting on? I do have a spreadsheet. Let me know if you want to see the spreadsheet in the next video of me talking through. I wouldn't know how to do that, but I can certainly look it up. And I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out of my house!